Alright, so this video is going to demonstrate the first two programs as demonstrations for your Chapter 3 programs. We have this Einstein program, which creates this right here. We have the Snowman program, which creates this. And then you guys are required to create the second snowman and do a couple different things. You then have to draw a face and a house and then a South Park character. So first thing I'm going to do, the first page of this basically shows all the different methods up here to draw information to your screen, okay, in the form of an applet. So it's drawing information on an applet, okay. So I am going to bear with me because I'm going to use paint, and drawing with paint is kind of hard to do, but I am going to demonstrate how to create these files and then what each method does, okay? So we're going to create Einstein, all right? So what you do is you say File, File, New Project. Let's see if it's going to go back. Let me make sure my stuff's turned off too. I'm fine turning that off. All right, so File, New Project, and I've probably created this file a lot of different times, but I will do it again, see what one I'm on. Einstein. So, alright, I guess it's not in this folder directory that I'm using, so, alright, so where's Einstein at? Whoops. Einstein. Alright, so let me see something real quick. I think I screwed things up. I did not want to do that. Yes, I did. I'm sorry. Let's do this one more time. I am going to delete. Whoops. Cancel. Delete. Sorry. I needed to do a main Einstein and then an Einstein. Alright, so File, New Project. Next, call it main Einstein, and we click New Java class, and we'll call it Einstein. All right, so and I'm gonna clean this up a bit. All right, so in main, nothing goes in main for any of your applets. So just skip all this information here. Don't put anything in it. But for this one, we have to do a few things. We need to import, in order to draw this thing out, we need to import these two packages. So we got applet and then everything inside the AWT library. So let's see here. I am then going to need to do, there's a couple things I'm going to have to do to fix this, all right? So just bear with me and I'll go through what each of this does. So I'll paste that on there, all right? So what this is going to do, your Einstein class is going to allow you to use everything in applet, okay? And then it's going to call this paint method, and it's going to pass in your actual page. And so what you'll do is you'll paint information onto this page, okay? So let's go through what each thing does, all right? So this right here draws a square. I'm going to put it in and test it and then show you why that is. So you can press the compile button, but I don't think, nothing's going to pop up. So what you need to do is you need to right-click the Einstein class and say Run File. run file should pop up the applet, and there you go. You got something like that. Well, what's going on here? So, and then also what you can use, and you know what? I am actually going to copy all these in because I'm just going to run through what each line does with you. And I'll just open them up as we go. So then we can jump back to the page to look at the different methods and see what they do. So if I close that, and I'm going to the very top of this page where we've got drawArc, drawLine, drawOval, drawRect. So for this first one, we're drawing a rectangle. Well, and then we got these 50, 50, 40, 40. Well, we're passing these variables, these numbers, into the drawRectangle method, okay? So drawRect, what does it do? It's an X, a Y, a width, and a height. So it paints a rectangle with upper left corner, X, Y, in dimensions, width, and height. So when you see 50, 50, 50, that's 50 pixels over on your applet window. 50 pixels to the right and 50 pixels down gives you the X and Y position, okay? It's kind of like being in... those of you that you're in algebra, you've got your Cartesian coordinate plane, and maybe it'd be best to do it like this. Can we do it straight? Yep. And we'll draw another one. So your Cartesian coordinate plane, this is 1, this is 2, coordinate 2, or plane 2, this is 3, and this is 4. Okay, so everything that we draw on an applet is basically the coordinate plane 4. Okay, so think about that. So it's 50 over. So this would be like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 over, and then 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 down, and then right here the X and Y. And maybe I can erase some of this stuff, but this is kind of where you're getting your X position on that, and that looks kind of like a dot. So that right there is basically this upper left-hand corner right here. Okay. So then we get 40 and 40. Well, again, let's go back to this. drawRect, that's your 40 is your width, and then 40 is your height. So we're drawing a square that is 40 wide and then 40 tall. Okay, so that's that. So I'm going to close this and I'm going to put this in here. We're going to draw another rectangle that's actually going to be a rectangle. So I right click and run the file. Okay, notice 60 is greater than 50, so it's going over a bit further right here. 60, that's about 10 pixels. And it's going, instead of 50 down, it's going 80 down. So that's where my X and Y are in that top left-hand corner. 60 over and 80 down. Okay, and then it's 225 wide, 225 wide, and 30 tall. Next one, let's see what this one does. This is the drawOval. So let's run this one real quick. So there's your little oval. Let's see what oval looks like. drawOval. So your X and Y, width and height. So almost exactly the same as drawRect, only it paints an oval instead of a rectangle. You've got paints an oval in the rectangle with an upper left corner of X, Y, and dimensions width and height. So now we've got a real issue here. Let's get rid of some of this. So with a rectangle, you have an X and Y position that would be, pretty easy. It's right there. There's the upper left corner. Then I draw my width. Then I draw my height, and then I kind of complete it, right? Well, an oval has different issues going on because let's think about this. An oval is just a circle, right? And the upper left corner is basically this guy up here, upper left corner. So it's basically kind of like drawing a box that's not going to be seen around the oval, and that would be its upper XY position right there. And so that's where you're getting this. Let's look at the code. 75 over 65 down is right there. That's my upper left corner of my oval, and then it's 20 wide and 20 tall, so it just draws the oval. Now you can't see the the invisible box around it, but that's how you get your circle to draw. So next up, draw a line, run. And you know what? You can get confused on these, which one you're actually running. So make sure you close them all. See, it says running. This is still running until we shut it down. So let's read about what a draw line does. So a draw line, you got an X1, a Y1, an X2, and a Y2. It paints a line from X1, Y1 to X2, Y2. So all your it's actually pretty easy. All you do, like, how do you connect, or how do you draw a line? Well, what is a line? So a line is point 1 with an X1 and a Y1 position. And then you got, another dot down here, which is X2, Y2. And so then you've got 2 points, so all you do is just connect the line. And then you've got yourself a line right there. Okay, so that's what's going on there. So let's look at the code. So you've got 35 over 65 down, and you've got 100 over 120 down, and then it just connects the line. Okay. Page draw. So this is when you're going to write something out. So let's close this previous one. And let's run this and see what happens. So it says, or sorry, not page draw, it's page drawString, and I need to right click. Yeah, this isn't going to do anything. I need to right click on the Einstein to get it to pop up in its right click. Run file. So drawString is drawing a string on here. It goes over, this is your X and Y position, so 110 over and 70 down. So 110 over and 70 down, out of clutter, find simplicity. Okay. Now, it's not going to pop up a a number chart with what position you're at. You're going to have to kind of guess on this to get everything lined up to create all your projects. But that's what that does. And then I just did a second one because these are both Einstein quotes. So if I run that, I can delete that, close that, and then there's your Albert Einstein. So that's what that's doing. Okay. Let's do the next one and kind of go through this, all right? So a lot of it's the same. So I'm going to say File, New Project, and then I'll say Main Snowman. And we'll get that created. Click on that, click on that. So let me see here. These are ones that I've already created before, I'm guessing. Yep. So that's this one right here, I believe. Yep. So I'll right click and say New Snowman. Snowman. And remember, there's nothing that goes in main, so I'm not even going to look at it. I'll just leave it how it is. But remember, there's a few things we have to do here, so I'm going to copy these, and I'm going to put that right there after the package, and we'll copy this, and we'll put it right there, paste that there. And All right, so let's look at some of this code, all right? So I'm going to copy this first part in here, and then we can go through line by line what it's doing. Oops. All right, so this is just setting up variables. These are called final variables. So later in the program, if you tried changing the value of mid, it wouldn't be allowed to change. It's just mid. So once mid is 150, because it's a final variable, you couldn't change the value of that mid or top variable. And that's kind of important if you were in industry and you had like a program that was like 1,000 lines of code. You wouldn't want somebody messing around with the final variable, 900 lines of code in, because that could drastically change a lot of things. Like, let's say you got a final variable with your employees' tax rates. If some programmer goes in and messes with those tax rates, maybe you didn't pay enough throughout the year, your taxes, and now all your employees owe thousands and thousands of dollars. And creating a variable as final would be able to fix that so that it would cut down on mistakes. All right, set background. This is going to set your background color. So if I run this right now, should pop open an applet that has a cyan background. Okay, so that's my background, but then I want to set my color to blue. And so what we did was we did draw rectangles in ovals. Now we're going to fill them, and it will fill them with the color. And so this one's going to be 0 over 175 down. That's your X position, and then it's going to be 350 wide and 50 tall. And so let's see what happens. We change the color to blue, and so now we've got a cyan background and a blue ground to represent like there's snow on the ground or whatever. Again, if you made this bigger, your ground doesn't really work, all right, because it's 350 tall, but this is the size of your this works perfectly because this is the size of the original window, so that's what I used. Okay, so now I'm going to set the page color to yellow, and I'm going to put a sun in. So if I run this now, this is fillOval. We're filling it with yellow. Now it's off the screen. It does create an oval, but it's off the screen because I go negative 40 over, so that's negative this way, like off the screen, negative, so it'd be more like towards this 8, and negative 40 tall, that gives me the upper left-hand corner up here of my sun, and then it just fills it in with a sun that's 80 by 80 tall. Okay, and so that's where we get this. And I'm going to shut some of this stuff down. Next up, we are going to start creating our snowman's head. So it's white, and then you got the middle of it, I'm saying, is 150. So 150 minus 20 is 130. And then so 130 over and then 50 down is going to be where the top of our head is, and it's going to be 40 by 40 wide by 40 wide by 40 tall. So if I run this, there's my head to my snowman. Okay. We can do the upper torso, left eye, right eye. Okay, I'm going to do all these together because the next ones are going to be a little bit weird for us, okay? And they're actually the hardest stuff of this. So let's do this. So if I right-click and run this, okay, remember this was my head. So my body, my upper torso is 150. Let's do this right here. Is 150 minus 35, would give me what? 115. And then so it's 115 to the right, and then 85 down gives me somewhere around here, the upper left-hand corner, and it's 70 wide by 50 tall. Now this is wider than it is tall, and that's fine. You guys can be creative. You don't have to use the exact numbers I used on mine, but it just needs to come out looking like a snowman, okay? You could have them all be like, you know, the same width and height, and that gives us more of a round circle type look instead of this oval type shape, like egg type shape. So the bottom, the lower torso, same thing. 150 minus 50 is 100 down, and then 50 plus 80 is 130. Sorry, this was 100 over, and then be 130 down, and then it's 100 wide and 60 tall. Next up, we're going to put in a left eye and a right eye. So we got to change our color to black, which we do. Let's close that and close that. So when we run this, we've got a, we got a run file. We got a left eye and a right eye. So these are fillOvals, so it's filling with black. And then again, 150 minus 10 would be 140 over. And then 50 plus 10 would be 60 down, and then it's a 5 by 5 left eye, and then a right eye would you know, go over, down. Okay, same kind of thing, and we get that. And so you can see how the left and right eye are created. All right, so now we're going to get to some of the harder stuff. So drawArc. Let's see what this does. This is the hardest one for kids to understand because it's doing a little bit more than, let's look at this. So right click, run. Okay, we get a smile. So what this is doing, okay, we go back to, and this is going to be a little bit of a lesson on geometry. So let me file new this real quick and do a brand one. No, don't save. So in geometry, you got your coordinate plane, right? And you've got, this is 0 degrees, this is 90 degrees, so this is a right angle, and you can see it's square. So if you've ever done any building with your mom or dad, right angles are good things to have in houses because, you know, like things like cabinets and TVs, those are all square, so you want them to be able to square up. That's 180 degrees. If you haven't been in geometry, you can think about like the X Games with snowboarding or whatever. So when you first start, you start at 0, and then as you go around counterclockwise, you hit these different degrees, okay? So this is 90, this is 180, so 90 plus 90 is 180, so that's a half circle. Another 90 is 270, so that's 3/4 of a circle, and then one full revolution around is 360 degrees, okay? So if you did 2 spins in the air, that's 720, okay? And so on and so forth. When you draw your smiles or whatever, let me draw a like a face kind of, and I'm gonna make it a little bit big. Let's get this right here. So your face, now when you're thinking about this, I want you to think that kind of like this, only these crosshairs for your coordinates, they don't exist. Just imagine you got your face without these crosshairs, but it will make it easy to understand. So when you're drawing a smile, okay, let's do that there, and then let's drag it down, okay? What you're doing is something like this, okay? So let's look at drawArc. Let's go to the top here, drawArc. drawArc has an X and a Y No, it's fillArc. Where's drawArc? drawArc has an X and a Y, a width and a height, and then a start angle and an arc angle. Okay, so when we look at this, X, Y, width, height, start angle, arc angle. So it's starting at 190 degrees. Well, how did I get that? Okay, again, go back to this right here, and what we're going to do is we'll draw like some broken lines, okay? And then it angles all the way, it arcs around to this spot right here, okay? So right here, now this isn't a perfect example, but this is 180 degrees. So 10 more degrees, I'm assuming, is right about there. So that's the start. It's starting at 190 degrees right there at the end. And it's going to arc angle all the way around to, what did I put in here? It will arc around 180 degrees all the way down to here. So 190, let's do this real quick. Okay. 190, it's not going to do it. So let's just do it right here. 190. And it's going to arc away all the way around 160 degrees. So that is 0. 9 plus 6 is 5. And then we add 1 is 3. So 360 degrees, remember, would be right here. So this is, I'm assuming, 350 degrees. Okay. So you start 190, you go around 160 degrees, and you end up right there. Okay, so you guys should understand the X position where it starts, the X and Y where it's going to start, the width and the height, but then the start and arc angle are what gets you guys. And if they do, then I would go back to here and think about, just draw a smile, have your crosshairs in here, figure out where the start of it is. So 190 is the start. And then it arcs around. Now you could do the opposite. You could draw, and I think I asked you to do a, here, let's file new this. I think I asked you to do a, what's it called? A frown. Okay, and I'm actually gonna click this and drag it down, okay? But a frown would kind of look like that on your face. So in this case, your start angle's here, which would be, you're going to have to figure out the angle position, but then it would angle all the way around that way to here. So there's your start, and then you got to figure out wherever you start, you got to add in a huge angle around here all the way to here to where it would end, okay? And so that's going to be part of your your program to figure out the Snowman 2, I believe, the Frowning Snowman right here, where you have to figure out, the frown, okay? So let's go back up and kind of finish this, all right? So that's the smile. Then we can do the left arm, right arm, the brim of the hat, and we can fill the brims. So like the left arm, that's that. The right arm's that. The brim of the hat's just a line, and then we have a rectangle for that. So let's look at that too real quick. So we paste that. I'm gonna do that real quick. I'm gonna run this. I'm gonna close that. All right. So again, draw a line. If I go to the top here, let's see, where's draw a line? Draw a line is an X and a Y, and then a second X and Y. So let's see how we got those numbers. So this would be 150 minus 25 is 125, so that's 125 over. Now look at this, it's 125 over, that's this spot, 125 over, and then what was it, 50 plus 60, that's 110 down. So that's our first X position. This is our first XY position right here. This is our second XY position. So it's starting there and then it's connecting to the second point. It's not starting here and then connecting here. If you wanted to do it like that, you would have to flip these numbers up and put them where these numbers are, and then these numbers would need to go where these numbers are, okay? Same with this one, it's the same thing. I'll run it. You can watch and see what happens. Run. So this one would, these two numbers would represent that first XY position right there, and then these two numbers would represent that XY position, and they just connect. I'll draw another line for the brim of the hat. So there's your brim of your hat, and then finally, so that's just a line, and then finally, if I run this, then I've got, you know, my fillRect, which fills it with black and fills my rectangle. And so there's my snowman. So again, your job for this chapter will be to recreate the snowman 2, only you'll put in a drawString, and you'll move the sun, you'll make a frowning face, and you'll add a couple different red buttons. You'll do a face, which you'll create a face. The face right here is going to be, you know, similar to this, only a little bit different. You're going to have to figure out what the differences are. It looks like they've got a draw circles for the eyes, and then a sorry, it's not draw circle, it's drawOval and fillOval. So you'll draw an oval and draw an oval, and then you'll do a fillOval for the eyeballs. You'll have to do a drawArc for the ears and for the nose and for the smile. Okay. For this, now there isn't like a fill triangle, and there isn't even a triangle, so you'll have to do lines for the house. Or you could do a flat roofed house. I'm fine with that. Again, you can just be creative with this. These aren't supposed to be like perfect drawings, so just do your best. If all you do is a draw rectangle, fill it with, you know, yellow, and then you got your door, and then you draw a couple lines for the top of your house, I'm fine with that. These should be easy points and just getting you playing with the different methods, okay? Now, these get a little bit more complicated, but these are really easy too, because watch this. So, let's say you're doing, what's his face? His name is Cartman, okay? All these characters, all they are a fill arc. So I've got the body of my arc. Let's see here. That screwed it up. I don't know if I'll be able to draw it. Maybe I'll just use this. You'll use your fillArc. Okay, that will create the body of Cartman. Okay, and then you'll do a drawLine for the arms. You'll do a fill rectangle for the legs. You'll put like something like that on, and then all you do is you start filling in, you know, different ovals for their feet, and so you're filling with them with a different color, so that would paint over that line. That line would not exist because it's filled with a different color. All right, and then what do? You fill, you know, the hands. Okay, and again, you're filling it with a different color than the pants, so what it does is it covers it. Then you create your head. Okay, again, your head's going to be a different color than your body, so it's something like that. And so again, you draw just like your basic face on. And so that's how you would do a South Park character. Again, there's some students that come up with things that are really kind of close to this, and there's some that, you know, it looks really funky, and that's fine. We're using really primitive drawing tools, and so it shouldn't look perfect, but just do your best, okay? So anyway, this is your drawing. This is what you'll be graded on for your Chapter 3 programming projects, your drawing tools. And so have fun at this, because this should actually be kind of fun. So get creative and play, all right? So this video is, let's do this. This video is done. Let me quit.